Hello, everyone. My name is Hunter Smith. Welcome to another webinar by Metastock. Today's presentation, Bulletproof Trade Setups. Now, before we get into our special guest today, I want to cover the legal stuff. This demonstration is designed to instruct you on using Metastock and accompanying software plugins. It's not a recommendation to buy or sell, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using the specific indicators and features within the software. The information, software, and techniques presented today should only be used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading. Metastock shall have no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of our software, any trading strategies or information provided in connection with the company. Legal stuff's out of the way. Yes, to the good stuff. I hope everyone out there is doing wonderful. Everyone in GoToWebinar as well as YouTube, feel free to ask questions along the way. We may hold those questions till towards the end of the webinar, but feel free to type them in anyway. Our special guest today is Mr. Timothy Straiton, and he is going to be talking about his new elasticity system and bulletproof trade setups using that elasticity system. Timothy he's been trading for a very long time. We've had the luxury of working with Tim for quite some time now. One of his specialties has actually been working face-to-face with newer traders and walking them through step-by-step and helping them develop their trading strategies, their trading habits, educating people on a one-on-one basis. He does a lot of one-on-one education. But the system that we've been able to put together with Tim is and put into Metastock is really, really wonderful. And we're going to take a look at that today. Tim, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. Hello, Hunter. Nice to be back again. I'm fine, thanks.
Wonderful.
Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and get you set up here. I wanted to tell the audience how long you had been doing one-on-one education, but to be honest with you, I wasn't sure. How long have you been taking on students?
Well, it started in the year 2000. At that time, in 1996, I started an asset management company here in Zurich. After having been many years in the financial industry, mainly as a precious metal and foreign exchange dealer and with various banks. And I started up on my own in the late 90s. And I'd actually started developing trading systems. You won't believe it. And I don't know if some of you remember the program Lotus 123. That was a program which we used for technical analysis. That was before Excel came on the screen.
Wow!
And I've been developing things in Excel, and eventually I came in contact with Metastock, and I said, "Well, this is a fantastic setup. Let's port some of my systems into Metastock." And around the year 2000, I started giving courses for technical analysis, having been with the Swiss Association of Market Technicians for quite a long time, for many years. So one thing led to another, and I've been developing systems for private investors and hedge funds for a long time. And what we've come up with now with this elasticity system, I said to myself, well, it's only going to be any use if the performance is good. But the people who are using it, they don't want to be disappointed. And we've been testing this for the last year, and I've had a few clients use it, and I always try to see their feelings about it, and the impressions were very favorable. And I'd like to demonstrate that now. Firstly, what I like to look at is what markets to trade. So what I've chosen for this webinar, I went through your selection of 4,200 optional stocks on the New York Stock Exchange. And my first impression was, well, I'm only going to choose stocks which have an adequate turnover. That means the volume times the weighted close. So I said, okay, I'm going to select those stocks which have a daily turnover of at least $20 million. By doing that, I've cut out the highly volatile stocks which have a low volume and are subject to manipulation. So that's got that out of the way. But from those stocks,
Tim, real quick, just a second. I know you wanted to share your webcam so the people could see you.
Okay, sorry, yeah. All
no,
right.
You're fine. And right now we're seeing a screen with a metastock in the lower corner as well as a PDF towards the upper row.
PDF. Okay, let's focus on the PDF. Just to give you a rundown of what we're going to look at today. Also, firstly, we're going to filter stocks with adequate turnover, which I just mentioned before. Once we've done that, we're going to save those selected stocks in a custom list. If anyone doesn't know how to do that, I'll be showing you that later. And then once we've got that list, we're going to use a system tester to select the best performing stocks out of that list. We're going to save them again in a custom list. And what I'm going to do is copy those results into an Excel spreadsheet. The reason for that is I just want to copy the symbols. And those symbols are going to I can put those into a custom list. So what you have to do then, once you've got a list of the stocks which have been selected, you can run the system test for the elasticity opening and closing positions. So you've got a basis selection of stocks which you can trade with. So what I'd like to do now is go into Metastock. Okay, hope you can see it okay. So the first thing we're going to do is go into the Explorer, and I'm going to say...
It looks like it's still in the bottom, the very bottom right-hand corner. There we go, perfect.
Is it okay? So what I've done is made an exploration of the minimum turnover. So if I open that so you can see what it's all about, I've got the closing price, the volume, and this is the volume, this is the turnover. This is the important thing, because volume doesn't mean anything if you've got a stock which is trading for 2 cents. The turnover is not going to be very big. So the turnover is very important for that. So once we go through that, I'll start this exploration. It's going through 899 stocks. Those are the ones we selected. Just to show how this is just going to take a minute.
And just a note to the audience, there's a couple of ways that you can run this exploration. This is on live data right now, and it's actually cruising pretty fast, but you can also run this exploration if you download the data. Just a little side note.
Okay, almost there. And here we go. So this is the turnover. I'm just going to sort that. So you see here, these are the top turnovers: Tesla, Amazon, Facebook, Boeing, the ones you would expect, Nvidia Core, all shares, I'm sure you know. So this is the list of stocks which I've actually saved in a custom list. So to show you. So what I'm going to do now is the system test on all these stocks. If you don't mind, we're running through that again because this is important just to prove to you that this is over a period of 2 years, 520 records, daily records, that the system really generates positive returns.
And Tim, also as a side note on the system tester, it's kind of the same thing I was talking about with the exploration. This one's much more applicable. When I run system tests, typically I'm not doing it through live market, so I don't need live data.
Okay.
And I'll go ahead and you know, I download the data ahead of time, you know, essentially, and
Okay,
run the
right.
test. So those of you in the audience, keep in mind that, you know, running these system tests is very, very quick. If you run
Here we are. I've got it here. Sorry.
Wonderful.
I did this before. So here you are. This is a record of all those 899 stocks. I'm just going to sort them after net profit and loss. I don't know if you can see that, but or where it's green, and you can see the ones which are losing out of those 800, not many of them. So the thing is, a system like this, you can trade that with more confidence because you can see the chances of you winning, also the odds are in the favor of the user. This is the whole point about the system. Here we got one, Shopify. If I take that out, you can see the equity run on that. Okay, just as an example. Now, in the backhand, this is a chart. This just shows what's going on. You can see here a long entry. This line here is always the stop loss level. So that is a potential ratchet stop. So it goes up with the market. The stops are generally not often hit because the market goes out with a profit before the stop gets hit in the most majority of cases with this system. Also, here is an explanation of what's going on, commentary. You can see here, no action required. So this would just tell the user if a long entry or a short entry or an open position is there. You'll see that here, right? But actually, with this system, you don't even need to use the chart because using the Explorer, you can use the elasticity opening positions to run through all these stocks to see if there's a signal generated. And I'm going to do that. I've already done it. And I run it again now. If you hold with me. This is scanning all those stocks which are selected because it's impossible to go through the chart, looking at each chart. It will take you ages. But the way this works actually for the user, he only has to spend, say, 20 minutes a day running through that to see if there's anything worth buying or selling. Almost there. Okay, here we go. So now this is the whole list. What I'm going to do, select the long entries. All those with the one are signals to buy. Okay, so this A.O. Smith, the closing price, 49.29.50. The stop level is to put in here, 48.41. And so any of those, you can go in and this is the buy signal. So You give the order to the broker. Let's just take this one, for example. The number of shares you want to buy, depending on your the amount of money you want to risk. Long, put the stop, long stop in there, and away you go. Now, either it's going to get hit, well, then you know how much you can risk. Let's say you buy for the first 5 stocks here. Let's say, for example, you buy them, put a stop loss in with the broker. The same is for shorts. With short indications are here. Alamus Gold, for instance, is a gold stock. Is given a short entry. Here, short. This is the closing price, 963. The short stop would be 1072. So you know exactly how much you're going to lose. So you don't have to worry about what's going to happen. You know exactly where you stand. This is the one side of the explanation. Now we're going to go, if everything's clear on that, we're going to go now to the elasticity closing positions. So let's say you've made a list of the stocks you own. I'm going to run through the whole lot this time just to just to show how this runs. Closing positions. Now the user, perhaps he's only going to have 10 stocks, but he can run this scan on just his 10 stocks to see if any of those he has, if a closing signal has been generated. So in actual fact, to do this work, you can just use the expiration scans, opening, closing positions. It's not going to take you more than 20 minutes a day, and you're done. There's no worry, there's no thinking about it. It's clear, it's really quite clear. Okay, here we are. So here we've got the closing long exits. So if you were long in any of these, it's time to get out. It's a bit of a massive list. This is all these stocks, and this is the short exit here. Amgen, time to get out of the short position. So you completely know exactly where you stand. If you run that once a day, some of these are going to be losses, obviously. Some of them are going to be profits. But these signals are either the stop loss has been hit, or the profit has been taken, either the long exit or a short exit. So there we have it. Those are the main points of the system. What I'd like to do now is to go back to this. So all this I've covered. This is an example of an Excel sheet where you have details of the profits on stocks and so forth. Now this presentation here, I'm going to put up on Metastock Swiss for anyone who wants to look at it later in peace. They can download it from tomorrow. This bulletproof setup. The other point I'd like to talk about is how to calculate the amount of stocks. Let's say I go back to Metastock here. Right. Let's say we here with this stock is AMC Entertainment Holding. Let's say we take this signal. That's a long entry here at 472. The stop loss would be 398. So the difference between the opening price and the stop, let's say, for instance, $2.50. And you have to ask yourself, well, how much money I'm going to risk on this stock? Let's say I'm prepared to risk $200 loss if it goes wrong. So what you've got to do is to say $200 divided by $2.50, which is the stop loss, which will give you 80 shares which you can buy. So there you would go and give the order 80 shares, knowing that you can't lose more than $200. So you're protected. And in this case, you went out here. This gave a signal here at 591. Take the profit. Obviously, not every trade is going to end in a profit. We don't know. No one can see in the future. But what we do know is we know exactly how much we are prepared to lose, which is a great help for novice traders, because a lot of people I know, they buy the software, they've got absolutely no business plan, and this leads to failures most of the times. In fact, when I see broker reports, they say 80% of traders are losing money. Well, without a business plan, I can well believe it, and this is why I find it's very important. Whatever system one adapts to, that's useless if you don't know exactly what you're doing and where your actual risk is. So, Hunter, I'd like to pass it over to you. If you've got any questions, I'm very happy to answer them.
Yeah, let's see here. Couple of questions about the success rate of the system itself. One thing to note on that is that the system actually works for really all markets, so it really depends on what you trade. As far as the success ratio, you know, if you trade equities, if you trade you know, options, stocks, etc. But from your experience, what would you say the success rate, Tim, is of this system?
Well, it's what I'd like to do is to do a rundown on some of the markets in real time. I'm not going to take 800 stocks. I just like to take, for instance, run the system tester on some of the markets as they are. Let's say, for instance, we take the DAX, for instance. The DAX. There's 30 top German stocks. I'm going to do an hour run on the last 2 years, so you get an idea. This is not going to take a great deal of time, but it just gives you an idea of the success rate on this. So this now we've got from the 30 German stocks. This is actually what happened with this system over the last 2 years. So this is M2 Aero Engines. That's a spin-off from Rolls-Royce. This is 41 trades over 2 years, 20 winners, 21 losers. If I go into that a little bit more, you can see actually not much going on, and suddenly there was a move up. They're not all like this. We'll go again, sorry. Deutsche Börse, that's always been a good one. 49 trades, 28 winners, 21 losers. That's the equity on that. Heidelberg Cement, 19 to 16. You see 1916. What I generally like to do is to check the ones where the relationship profits to loss is good. For instance, 28 to 21 seems good to me. It's not always like this. I found in the US stocks, there are plenty of them which give a much higher win to loss ratio. Never say this is Fresenius medical care. But out of the 30 stocks, there were 5 losers. So it's weighted. The system is weighted to profits, and this picture is pretty well typical for all markets. There's Nasdaq, S&P. But as I did here, I made a selection of stocks with the exploration to see the ones which have got a minimum turnover. Because I'm not so keen on trading stocks with low volume. Does that answer your question about Hunter?
Yes, and you know, one of the main things with the success ratio. I mean, we obviously we get a lot of questions on different systems and how, you know, what the success rate is, and it's really, honestly, it's kind of a loaded question. But with this system, number one, it tests very, very well, and it's something that you and I, Tim, we looked over this for quite some time when you first brought it to me, and it's tested very, very well all along. And this is across all markets. You know, Tim, you trade primarily what, German markets, European markets?
Well, no, actually, I don't. I trade more the US stocks.
Okay, so we just took a look at the DAX. Tim and I, we trade US markets. I mean, we've tested this across multiple markets, and you know, it has always tested very well. But that's the cool thing about Metastock and the elasticity system, is you can, you know, crack it open and run it across whatever lists of stocks that you trade consistently, and see how it fares. I mean, it's a very unique tool.
Well, yeah, it's not only that, Hunter, because how can I put this? However profitable a system is, if you don't have a risk control, you're going to run into trouble. This is the thing. I mean, let's say an investor starts trading with $50,000. He has to make sure that he's not going to put all his eggs in one basket. That is, he has to say, well, okay, he has to know how many stocks I'm going to trade, what is the maximum loss I'm going to take on any position. So he knows in advance where his risk lies, and it's also it's a psychological question. If the risk is not under control, uncertainty and panic sets in, and that is the beginning of the end. I've seen this so many times, and this is why I'd like to stress, whatever system you use, it doesn't matter. I mean, there's hundreds of ways of trading the market out there. But if you know what you're doing, if you can, you know your budget on losses, that'll save you from failure.
Yeah, and it's a good segue into kind of the next subject, is that, you know, this is a wonderful system. It tests very, very well, but you're right, Tim. It's only, you know, it's only part of a larger picture. You know,
I would certainly say that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a much larger picture, and you know, in my position with Metastock, I talk to a lot of professional traders all around the world, and every single one of them is always going to agree that money management is really how you're going to profit, and being strategic as an investor, eliminating the emotion, the hype, the fear from your trading is going to be a surefire way to be able to generate profits. It's easy to find stocks that that trade well. You know, it's easy to find trading opportunities, but to be able to manage those trading opportunities effectively is really, really hard. And that's where, if it was easy, everyone would do it, right?
Well, yeah, if I look back on my trading career back into the 70s and 80s, I started in trading with a Swiss precious metal bank, which doesn't exist anymore. It was the oldest bank in Switzerland at the time. And we had an agreement with the Soviet Union to buy all their gold. So the gold came in by Aeroflot to Zurich Airport, and we had it re-smelted and sold on the market. And I remember when I was trading, I never made a lot of money at one go, but I always made a little amounts constantly. And that was my footprint in trading.
Yeah, and consistency only feeds consistency. You know, it's when, you know, you're flailing and looking for different systems, et cetera. That's really where you'll start, you know, getting frustrated. But I think that the kind of the second part of this add-on, which in my opinion, I mean, I love the add-on, I love how well it tests, et cetera. But I think that the most important part of this add-on is the education aspect. And we've kind of alluded to this in the summit and, you know, a couple other instances, but we actually, with this add-on, we have thrown in 5 classes with Tim, where, Tim, you're going to be sitting down and you're going to be talking about all sorts of different stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, I kind of have the list of the classes, but can you give me a couple of highlighted points on what you're going to be covering in these different, these 5 different sessions?
Well, yes. One of them is cash as an asset class. Now, this may seem, now everyone's FOMO, the fear of missing out. But one of the points I'd like to stress on this is that if you don't take profits when things look good, you're not going to have any cash when the market crashes, and we're going to be able to buy undervalued stock. So especially now where we're getting in an overbought situation, I find cash is king. But that's my own personal view. Everyone looks at it differently, but I think it's time to be rather cautious. Also, allocation of funds in trading, which I'm going to go into in more detail. Use of the, I'll go over again the use of the elasticity system in more detail. Well, also, yeah.
I was going to say you're going to be covering position sizing and pivot point trading as well, which is
pivot point trading, exactly, yes. What I will be issuing is a set of all those people who participate will get from me free templates and custom indicators how to use all these things, pivot points, pin bars, all sorts of various trading aspects, just as an extra. You know, it has nothing to do with the elasticity system itself, but is helpful in looking at the markets.
Now, you've been doing this education for quite some time. You've been doing it for, you know, 20 years, and right. we have really, you know, when we were talking about putting together this educational course with you, you had so much information to pull from, and essentially what I told you to do was to take, you know, let's pretend that a beginner or intermediate trader was sitting at your desk for the first time and saying, you know what, I know a little bit about stocks, I know a little bit about trading, or to, you know, more of an intermediate trader, what would you teach them? So, you know, one of the things that you've done really well, Tim, is put together a course that really covers highlights of major aspects of trading. You know, we have, you know, in these 5 classes, trading psychology, fund allocation, position sizing, short-term investment vehicles, powerful candlestick trading opportunities, in-depth training on, some of the things that you just covered as far as the elasticity system, using the explorations, etc. It's quite the course. Now, you actually have people come in and trade with you for a few days or whatnot, isn't that right?
That is correct. Well, yeah, I have people. It's very individual. As people come to me, I've had people stay for a week, 5 days training. At the end of that time, we're both absolutely knocked out. I've had people who come for 2 weeks, and some of these people have become very successful traders. And not everyone can do it. When someone comes to me, I have to also be able to judge them as a person. Are these people, are they the type of people who are prepared to work hard, to manage risk, have the emotional stability? Not everyone is suited for this business, So I look at all these sort of things, and I've had a few people who've been brilliant, and who have been very happy with my training. I've had people from actually all over the world, also from the States, who've been over here, from the Eastern countries. I love the work. I'm happy to help, and it's a job I love doing. Huh?
And that's important. That's probably why you've been doing it for so long.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
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 So if you don't mind me asking, if a person stays with you a week and you trade with them, etc., what do you normally charge for those types of courses?
Well, it's generally comes to about $1,450. I charge. This is for a 2-day session, but it depends on how long people are staying. We just generally work out a fee according to the amount of time they want to spend, and we do it on a one-to-one basis.
Okay. Now getting to a couple of, let's see if we have any other questions here. We have Joe asking if we can explain the selection process a little bit better. I believe, Joe, you're talking about the selection process of stocks, meaning the exploration. Maybe Tim, we could look at your explorations and kind of a brief synopsis of what they do.
Okay. Is the question which stocks to select? Because I took the minimum turnover as a criteria, but you could take other criteria to go through. For instance, high volatility. We could sort through stocks with exceedingly high percentage ATR, for instance, and put them in the list. I took the minimum turnover because for me, that is a very important criteria. I think a lot of traders would agree with that. And so I've fished out the stocks which don't meet with that criteria. So, but you could take other ones. You could take, I only want to look at stocks which are 2% above their 200-day moving average. There's all sorts of different criteria you can take. It's individual. I've just took this as an example.
And after that, are you taking those results and running them through the elasticity opening and closing positions?
Exactly, yeah. That's right. So I can take any list. Let's say here's elasticity opening position. I've taken these selected stocks, but I could take a lot of others. I could take, let's say, a run on technology services. It's 148 stocks here, and run that through. It's exactly the same procedure. what I did for you is these 899 stocks. These are US optionable stocks. That means you can trade options on them, which is for some people interesting. Doesn't matter what list you take, you have the indications. This is the closing price. Wherever there's a 1, this is, for instance, a buy signals here. Okay, so these stocks, Baidu, Euronet, Norton LifeLock, these are buys. You've got the closing price, you've got your stop loss level, and that's all you need. Give it to the broker and away you go. And then once you have positions, all you've got to do is every day run the closing positions to see if any of these stocks if it's time to get out. And so you run the same thing here, and then you'll see long exits. These stocks you've got to get out of. This is in long, and these are positions which are short, closing the short position. Okay, so in actual fact, you don't have to look at the charts. If you run that once a day, and the closing positions, I just have to say, close it. You don't have to run through a whole lot of stocks. You can just run the ones which you have positions in. You can make a list of those stocks which you have positions, so it's done in a couple of seconds. Okay, so instead of technology services, you could make a custom list, my open positions, for instance. Huh?
And the cool thing about kind of what Tim's showing is essentially he is utilizing the minimum turnover as a pre-filter scan. And, you know, like he said, you can run those pre-filter scans essentially over whatever you want, because obviously with, you know, 4,300 optionable stocks, it's typically what I'm running explorations across. You need to whittle that down by something. You can do it by price or volume, minimum turnover. You can do it by, you know, relative strength comparative, like Tim has here. So initially, what that first exploration is for is to whittle down the market a little bit to kind of, I would say, general buying opportunities, and then he takes the results from that and he runs it through the elasticity opening positions. And then once you place the trade, you know, you can put it in a custom list and then run that exploration for closing positions on that custom list every single day. Cool thing is you can actually run both of those explorations at the exact same time and set them up as essentially kind of what I call a drip filter, where you run the whatever your pre-filter scan is first, and then you take the results from that and you run it through the second scan, which would be elasticity. So to answer your question, Joe, I hope that answers it pretty well for you. But the selection process is very, very easy. It's very straightforward. You start off with your pre-filter scan, your general criteria, and then you whittle it down by the scans that are included within the elasticity add-on.
So I've just done this again on those technology stocks. You've got both at the same time. You've got your opening positions here. You can see, okay, long entries. If I sort here, short entries, checkpoint software, closing price 127.41. That's a short, stop 131. So you're risking here about $4. So you just calculate how much you want to lose divided by $4, and then you find the number of shares you could give as an order. So it's pretty quick. It's not more than a 20 minutes day's work, and you've got it cut out. And you can just sit back without any stress and see how we go.
Now, we did have another question from Ravi a little bit earlier, and it said, is this applicable for both stocks and options as well? how could I know the stop loss for any of the trade using this? And Ravi, I hope that kind of what we just covered kind of helps answer that. Stop loss is actually right in the exploration, or it will be shown on the chart. For example, the one that Tim has up right now, your stop loss is just kind of the little dotted line there. Now, your experience, Tim, this system does work well with stocks, options, futures, etc. Correct?
Yeah, I've found out using a daily periodicity, which is actually for those people who just have the Metastock DC, the daily close end of day data, it's ideal because I know there's a lot of people who have that. It's not necessary to have the real-time version. It's a daily, but I think it's based for daily data. But what I have found with Forex, it works best on 240-hour periodicity. So for intraday traders, it gives out pretty good results.
Yeah, and you know, being able to work across all markets, you know, especially if you're a beginning trader, this allows you to grow. You know, you're using the same system, you take the same education, but it allows you to grow into, you know, if you're trading stocks to start with, small cap stocks or whatnot, and then you start moving into options trading, or you start moving into Forex, etc. This is a system that does work across all markets and all instruments, and like Tim was saying, it's a daily periodicity is the best go, except for Forex. Now, Forex, you did say it was a 240 hour. Is that right?
Oh, that's correct. Yeah. So these are the results I've tested. It works best on that, but actually the system is in the first line dedicated for stock trading on a daily basis. So Forex, you can use it, but I used to be a Forex trader myself, but I've seen the development in Forex, the volatility has dropped. When I look back to the years when I was trading in the 90s, markets were completely different. The volatility was much higher than it is today. And there are a few cross rates which generate good profits. One of them is the sterling yen, euro yen, Canada yen. These work well. One of the ones which doesn't work well at all is the dollar Swissy, because that is controlled by central banks. It's a peculiar market, but I wouldn't risk any money on that.
Yeah, and that, you know, again, you know, the ability to use the same system across stocks and options and you know, commodities and Forex, it's really important, especially if you're a person that believes you should always grow as a trader and learn new things. A couple other questions here. Let's see. The classes needed a little bit more explanation on the classes. Yeah, so with the add-on, this add-on is going to come with 5 live classes. Now, these classes start tomorrow. So, Tim, we're going to be back in the webinar room tomorrow.
That's right.
The cool thing about these classes is they are live. So if you do purchase the add-on today, you would actually be able to attend this class live tomorrow with Tim. And the cool thing about that is you're able to actually ask questions and you know, be interactive, etc. There are 5 classes. They're once a week, starting, like I said, tomorrow. Each of them are going to be right around an hour long, just kind of depending. So we're probably looking at 5 hours of classes overall. And just to, I'll actually switch over to my screen real quick here. So Tim, I'm gonna grab the screen from you.
All right.
Okay, so a total breakdown here of the elasticity system. It comes with 4 indicators, an expert advisor, 2 explorations, and the all-important system test. I love this add-on because of the system test. But again, this is, Tim, when we were speaking about this, it was, you have so much knowledge when it comes to trading, and you do, so much of your knowledge and experience is actually teaching people how to trade. So, we thought it best to actually be able to let you teach people how to trade in this. So the add-on is incredibly simple to use. It's very, very accurate. It tests very, very well. But I think that the most important part of this add-on is the fact that it comes with, we're looking at 5 hours probably of classes, 5 classes live that you can take from Tim. And these are going to cover technical analysis, beginner and intermediate guide, trading psychology, fund allocation, position sizing, cash as an asset class, short-term investment vehicles, calculation of maximum dollar risk per trade, which is something you were actually covering a little bit earlier in the quick math you were doing, candlestick trading opportunities, pivot point trading, and then of course a in-depth course on the best way to use this elasticity system. With this, normally, as we heard a little bit earlier, when Tim sits down and he teaches people how to trade, it can be, quite expensive. One thing I did want to cover, and David, thank you for asking this question. If you are unable to attend the live class, will it be recorded? Yes, all of these classes will be recorded. It's obviously wonderful if you can attend them live through the webinar, but through the webinar experience, you're able to ask questions, etc. But if you do miss it, it will be recorded and put on your Metastock account. Also, if you watch or if you attend all the classes, you can go back later on and rewatch the classes as well, just by going to your Metastock account page. You'll be able to watch them right there. Now, as Tim was covering earlier, normally this system and normally educating people in person, it's very expensive, over $1,500 starting with basically. Everything that you've seen today, plus a lot more, as Tim was saying, he's actually going to be adding in quite a few things with the class. What were you going to be adding in? Some templates and some other things, Tim?
Yeah, well, I've got a collection, actually, over the last 20 years using Metastock. I've got a big collection of custom indicators and things which I think could be of use. I'm going to put them in a package and with the templates, so they show up correctly. And this will be, as soon as possible, all those people who sign up or want it, it'll be available to download.
Wonderful. So not only does it come with the add-on that we saw today with the explorations, the indicators, and the system tests, we're also looking at 5 classes, as well as the other things that Tim will be adding in there between indicators, templates, etc. This retails at $6.99, which is already much, much cheaper than taking these classes in person. We're actually doing a discounted price, 100 off. So the special price for the webinar is $5.99. That's a one-time cost. Someone else in the chat asked that. Yeah, this is a one-time cost, and you'll have the classes forever that you can go back, and you'll have the add-on as well. Now, again, best case scenario, you attend these classes live. They start tomorrow. The reason I say that is you have the ability to interact with Tim and be able to ask him questions, etc. The way that you register for these classes and take advantage of the special price is you can call in at 800-882-3040, or you just come into metastock.com/sales chat. Tell them that you're in the webinar and say that you wanted the special price.
Hunter?
Yes.
Sorry to break in. I noticed you didn't include the landing page. did you want to tell the folks how to?
Oh, it's not. It's at the bottom of the screen. It's cut off on the YouTube screen.
It's cut off on both screens.
Oh, really? Okay. Sorry
Yeah.
about that. It's at the very bottom line, which is metastock.com/Straiton A. That's STRAITONA. On there, on that landing page, you can also take a trial of Metastock. If you're brand new to Metastock, come into chat. We can answer all your questions, or you can just go to the metastock.com/Straiton A. We'll put that in the YouTube and the GoToWebinar chats, and you can take a trial of Metastock if you need one, or you can just go ahead and get the add-on for that special price. Let's see here, looking for other questions. Feel free to type questions in the chat here. We have just another minute or two. Tim, did you have anything else that you wanted to cover?
Well, yes, I just wanted to say, if I'm correct, that this add-on will run with all versions of Metastock. I think that's correct.
Yeah,
Tell me if I'm wrong.
It'll run with the new versions of Metastock. Since we programmed it in, I believe it will work with 16 and 17. I believe it will work with those two versions. Okay. We've made quite a few advancements as far as the new version of Metastock. So if you have a much older version of Metastock, feel free to come into sales chat, and we'd be happy to give you a discount on the upgrade there as well. And I'm just putting in the links in GoTo. And Tim, anything else to add?
Well, I think that's about rounded it up, and we'll go into more detail tomorrow around the same time. I think I've covered everything. That's what I wanted to say. If there are any questions, fire ahead.
Wonderful. You know, we're waiting on, let's say we had a couple of questions about what the link was. I just put that in a chat, which is metastock.com/sales chat, or if you want to just go ahead and take advantage of the offer through a landing page, it's just metastock.com/Straiton A, and that's in the chat in both YouTube and as well as GoToWebinar. So again, we're looking at the Elasticity add-on. We took a wonderful look at it. We did some system tests, some explorations, etc. I'm really looking forward to the next the classes that do start tomorrow. Rather, these 5 classes that are included with the add-on. We're doing a deep discount on what you would normally pay for this out, you know, face to face, and I guess you could say in the real world. we've been all cooped up a little bit too long. So take advantage of the discounted price, $5.99, going to metastock.com/sales chat or metastock.com/Straiton A. Tim, as always, it's a pleasure. Thanks for doing this webinar today. It was very, very good.
It's great fun. Always nice to hear from you. And see you tomorrow. Huh?
Yeah, I will talk to you tomorrow. Hopefully all of you out in the audience will be there as well. Feel free to ask us any questions if you need. You can shoot us an email or whatnot. Oh, that is one thing I wanted to cover, Tim. If people wanted to reach out to you directly, what is the best way to get a hold of you?
Well, you can go on metastockswiss.ch, contact, and then you'll certainly get a reply from me.
Wonderful. I've also put that into chat, so if you want to reach out to Tim, go to metastockswiss.ch, contact us, and just shoot him an email from there. So once again, Tim, thank you so much. We'll chat again here tomorrow for our first class.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Have a nice day.
Yeah. Everyone in the audience, thank you so much for attending. If you have any questions, feel free to come into our sales chat or give us a call, 800-882-3040, or come into metastock.com/sales chat and let us know what questions, or go ahead and register for the training sessions. Until then, I hope everyone out there is keeping safe. And as always, happy trading.
Cheers.